One day, his ass is going to wish his granny was here to call him by any name. One day, his ass is going to think back about the times when she called him right in front of her and he ignored her. But this trash box will sit up on Facebook trying to gain sympathy over Queen's death while disrespecting her mama. This trash box is a narcissistic, delusional, sad case of a corpse, and I know a manipulative scam artist when I see one. The only reason why he missed Queen is because he can't ask her for $30 no more. This is another reason why I won't call him by his girl name and I make sure I address him as a man because I want him to jump up in my face so we can see what the end result of that is going to be. The apartment that he is living in parentheses, that he keeps filthy, I helped him get when we were on good terms. This is a person who swears they are so bad or hard but can't be alone. Now he had moved some ugly white boy up in his home that my cousin Timberly and her son had to go put out because he was beating Lamian up. Funny how Lamian has all this mouth for Kiki and me but getting beat up in his own home. He was even threatening Kiki, but when Kiki confronted him, he ran and had the nerve to stick his tongue out at her as he drove away. After the beef was over, the dust settled, and he knows not too many in the family will have anything to do with him. Guess who he moved back in? The ugly white boy. He can't do anything for himself. I even had to show him how to pay his bills. When Queen died, he was having an issue with his car. One of Queen's friends fixed the car and got it back working. The car was wrecked that night. While I was in Toledo, I'm driving him back and forth to work along with other cousins for free. Mind you, I'm not working because I'm out of town. One of my cousins ended up taking him to get a car that he let some white boy, in parentheses, who had no license, drive it and wreck it. The dealership got him a rental car. He let his friend, in parentheses, some weird white girl, drive, and they somehow backed over the key that starts the car. So that was taken. He did get another car and he hit somebody. He told my mom, in parentheses, by this point I was done talking to him, that the car was getting fixed. That's been months now, so we know it's probably repossessed. He is a liar, can't trust nothing he says. Before all the drama started, he told me he was going to look out for me. He said he wanted to do something for me for my B-Day that was coming up. When he got his insurance money, he offered me $1,000 because he felt guilty from him not doing nothing during the process of his mom's funeral. By this time, we were on good terms, but I did not know he had all these deep repressed feelings towards me that would later come out after he had a hormone shot. He told me on the phone, "Cuz, I want to look out for you and thank you for always taking care of me. You did everything from cleaning out mom's house to planning her funeral, helping me get the apartment, just going on and on, saying all this stuff to me." I did not get this on record because he was still acting normal. When this boy sent the money via Cash App, I did not notice at first, in parentheses, and didn't notice until he mentioned a few days later, but this fool had put loan in the memo. Baby, that was the final straw. Bitch, I snapped. Remember all those times I helped stuff in, not saying shit? Yeah, I snapped. Later on, I found out he had been shaking his purse, tricking with those ugly white dudes, buying them clothes, shoes, PS5s, and a car, because the one boy wrecked his car. We cleared this issue right on up on a recorded conversation with him saying I don't owe him any money. Like I said, I put all this on Facebook before he passed out my cell number. As of today, I have nothing to do with Lamian at all, and baby, I am glad about it. Okay, so I've given this nutcase enough pages. Now I want to start from my childhood dealing with my immediate family. Uh-oh. Who's next? Don't hide now. I am the youngest of 7, 4 boys and 3 girls, 4 different women. All of my sisters, Tanika, Erica, and Angel, have the same mom. My brother Dante is 8 years older than me. My earliest memory of Dante is one day my dad and I were sitting at a high school, I think, basketball game. He pointed to Dante and said, "That's your brother right there." I was so young that I didn't understand anything, so I just remember saying, "Okay." But I remember leaving that game very confused. I was wondering if he is my brother, then why have we never met? Why don't he live with us? My dad was the type where he didn't like to be questioned. I really hate that Dante did not grow up with us. No, he was not there for the time Dad had taken Dewan, Michael, and I out into the garage where he started talking to us about being a man and how men fuck women. He then presumed to tell us that if any one of his sons ever told him that they are gay, he would shoot them. I hate that he had to go through that separation, but I am glad he dodged a bullet. I know he found brotherhood in his cousin. He also has a friend, a best friend, and they are brothers. I think he was better off not being raised by dad because, baby, it was a task. I am very proud of him. He is very witty and funny. He is a great dad, and I was happy to actually see him get married. I look up to my little big bro. His family is my family. His grandma is my grandma. Auntie Jerry, I love you, boo. My Aunt Terry, I love you too. I'm so proud of you and how you have healed. You are truly a survivor. My Aunt Cynthia, I remember one time I had got a job all the way out in Oregon, Ohio, which is a ways from where I was staying. Cynthia will give me rides. I will never forget that. I love you, Cent. To all my cousins on that side of my family, I love y'all. After Dante is my sister Tanika. She is 8 years older than me, too. She is like the smart one out of all of us. You can look at Tanika and tell she's smart. She is the oldest girl. She is bright as the sun, literally. But, baby, she got a temper like my dad. She reminds me of Gina from Martin. I always wanted to be intelligent like my sister. She has a master's degree. Whether she believes it or not, I have always loved her. I might not have always shown it, but I have, still do, and always will. We was kids. When we was kids, I used to get on her fucking nerves, but that was my job. Duh. Hello, little brother. That's kind of what I do. She was the only one out of us that my dad brought a decent car for. My dad would always put us against each other. He would say stuff like, "My girls are smart." He would always speak highly of them, but not of the boys. That is not her fault, of course, but that is why there was so much tension between us all. She was always the dependable one, the wise one. She is the oldest sister. I am really proud of her. She has a beautiful family. Love my niece and nephew. After Tanika is my brother Dewan, who is 7 years older than me. He and I have the same mom. I always say my brother is a king, but don't get it twisted. He is not innocent. I love my brother, but he did push my ass off a playset at the Reverend H.V. Savage City Park, renamed after my grandfather. This led to a trip to the ER because when I landed, which I find I did a lot having three brothers, I must have landed on my knee and he made me walk home by myself. It was only a block away, but still I was bleeding and white stuff was coming out of the gash in my knee. I was traumatized. One time, the man conned me into buying a video game, Tekken 2. He had the video game console, PlayStation, and I didn't have one at the time. I got one the following year. I went out shopping and used my Christmas money to buy this game thinking he was going to let me play. Do you know this sucker would not let me play? Oh, I was done. I took all his Michael Jordan basketball cards and gave them to all the boys at school. I always say our broship reminds me of Buzz and Kevin McAllister off of Home Alone. He was the cool big brother. Things were a little rough coming up for Dewan between my dad and him. Before I go into all the drama, I will say this. I'm giving this from my point of view. I always say yes, I come from a two-parent household. I don't know what it's like to have our electricity cut off, no food in the refrigerator, and we didn't have to worry about clothes. But damn, why are you so damn mean, man? This is in regards to my dad because he has been quite the character in our lives. I know that he is a narcissist. There's a tourist that reminds me exactly of my dad, too. I believe Dewan took the brunt of my dad's physical and emotional wrath. I have told my bro once before that he should write a book about his life. I like to joke and say by the time I came, nobody gave a shit. They were all too tired. My dad would beat Dewan, parentheses, not for no reason. I told you he not innocent. But my dad will go too far. I don't hate my dad. I love him even when he is wrong, but I was upset with him. I don't believe he is a bad person. I pray one day that he truly receives the love of Christ. You do not beat kids with extension cords and you don't fist fight your kids. I would hold a grudge against my dad for years, for the way he mistreated Dewan, my mom, and I. Today, I hold no grudge against my dad. I have closed this cycle of waiting for him to finally respect me and show love to me. Today, I honestly don't care. I've learned to move on with my life. Although I will not entertain his love for Sunday worship and paganism, I still pray for him. Dewan was a product of his environment. Our father did narcotic drugs in the early 1980s, as most of my people did. Our dad could be very flashy, pinky rings and expensive suits, hats, $400 to $700 gator slash croc shoes and jewelry. He will brag about the things women buy him because he will fornicate with them. Parentheses, I guess he must have been good. I guess we were a lot alike because men would do the same for me. My family has ties with many local and trade unions in the city where I am from. Too bad nobody could ever get me a job. My dad worked for an oil refinery. I never knew what he did, but I did know he was a supervisor over crews and they were insulators, I think. He made good money. He had to because he had to pay 13,000 or 1,300 in child support, in which he would always complain. To me, my dad is the type of person where he can never see what he does wrong. It's always everyone else's fault. He is not real. And he can be proud, meaning his pride gets in his own way. He wouldn't even deal with social media in fear of being caught up by his woman at one time, by his women at one time. I would ask him, how you complain about not hearing from your kids when we were all on social media? I used to feel bad that we don't talk as much, but not anymore. Love is a two-way street. I would always come to Toledo, but my dad has never come to see me in Minnesota out of the 7+ years I've been here. He could at least make a page and have only his family as friends. At least he would be able to keep up with his kids, but nah, he won't do that. So hey, I don't worry about keeping in touch either. I have to focus on my life. How do you complain about paying child support when you're the one that had all these kids? If people don't want to pay child support, stop having kids outside of marriage, I guess, or wear a condom. He made me feel guilty about just being alive. I would always say, I didn't ask to come here, even though I am the only child born in marriage. Me being molested put a strain on our relationship. I think I became a reminder of his guilt about me being molested, which led me down a path that was meant to take me out. I do not hate my dad. I do love him, but I have to love him from a distance, and that is okay with me. I always think of Abraham and his dad. The Most High called Abraham out from his family. They were pagan. One, all this flash and bling, but we had holes in our house where these big rats would get into our home. Man, I hated that house. I called it the house of evil. My family reminded me of my childhood home. Our house was poorly insulated and just in poor condition, period. Dewan slept in the back room that had the same temperature as the outside, even in the winter. And one time, my dad put him on punishment for 2 weeks because he turned the heat past 70 degrees. But he had money for gators, shoes, and fancy suits. Shaking my head. As I said, Dewan is not innocent. In junior high, he took our dad's gun to school just to show off. This was before Columbine and the whole mass shooting craze. He also stole our mom's car, in which he had been taking our mom's car. He drove all the way to Dayton, Ohio, like 2 hours away, where he got some girl to pose as our mom, using our mom's checks to buy Jordans. I have never owned a pair of Jordans, not even in my adulthood, and I'm 31. Dang, today I'm 36. Still no Jordans. And other expensive clothing. He did go to juvenile detention for this. Dewan excelled in sports and made decent grades in school. These are things we laugh about today because Dewan has truly shined. Our dad counted him out and didn't think he would graduate. Dewan had been shuffled around the school system. Not only did my brother graduate high school, but he was also the first and only one of our dad's boys to get a college degree. Dewan did the whole wanted to be a rapper thing, but that didn't really work out for him. One thing I can say about my bro, he is a fighter. He has amazing strength. I come from a very strong family of warriors, and Dewan is one of them. No one in the family bothered him. He is a veteran as well. Dad did get him a job working in the union trade as he did for all of my other brothers except for me. The Most High knew Dewan needed a way out. It was him being in Toledo. He needed a fresh start. Dewan would eventually move to Minnesota and spent time there. This will be how I got to Minneapolis. He is now very accomplished. He has two businesses. His first business is his welding company, and his second business is his construction house flipping business. He literally builds houses from the ground up, and he's very good. I'm very proud of Dewan and my nephew Micah. My nephew Micah's middle name is Israel. How prophetic is that? I always refer to Dewan as builder of roads and houses or repair of the breach, Isaiah 58, King James Version. He can be cheap. I just want him to take some time for himself and do something for himself. Life is not always about working. Don't forget you matter too. Just like Dad, he can be selfish as well, but he means well. I do wish we were a lot closer, but hey, I'm used to being a loner. After he left and moved to North Carolina, those were some really lonely times. I had no friends and wasn't even dating. Actually, that's my current situation as of February 22nd, 2023. And still today. Today is January 27th, 2024. Still same shit that I'm editing my book. I kind of felt like an outcast, but I found strength in knowing that one day my work will be my legacy. That's honestly all I have besides the Most High in Christ. The only thing that Dewan did that really hurt my feelings growing up is he would tease and clown me about my love of dance. He would talk shit to me and come at me like I was the one running the high school dance team. He would say the most hurtful things in front of others. I just kept going because dance at that time was all I had. It was my way out from all the drama and negativity that was going on at home. It's not like any of them took me under their wing and introduced me to sports, and that's okay. I always did my own thing. I always supported him though, all through his rap career, trying to promote him when I would get gigs through this dance team I used to be on called the House of Adonis and Ho. I would never speak bad about his gifts because I'm not cut like that. Come to think about it, none of my brothers or sisters supported me when I danced or marched in a marching band. I was really good too, but hey, oh well. It is water under the bridge. My dad used to tear me down the most. Boys don't dance. And he would always say other negative shit. He was never really supportive at all for anything that I wanted to do. I've always had to support and do for myself, even before I was grown. I've been an outcast pretty much my whole life. My mom did a better job of supporting me though. She was supportive at times. I will never forget the time she came to see my performance after she had a major surgery. She and my Aunt Queen would come to my performances, but for the most part, I never really had much support. I always had to be my own cheerleader and be my own counselor. I never really been accepted by any type of group unless I was being used in some way, knowingly or unknowingly. Hell, the lgbtqia community don't even accept me. Cracking the fuck up. This is why in my adult life I avoid friend slash family groups of any kind, period. I be solo, but yet confident. Growing up, it really felt like my dad took his faults and failures out on us, mostly Dewan. My dad never wanted any of his sons to surpass him in anything. Now, of course, he would never admit this, but trust me, actions speak louder than words. This man raised me, and I know him. He wears a mask. His actions say it enough. This is why he did little petty things such as not setting up my brother Dante correctly for lead jobs by giving him info or properly preparing Dante so he could be prepared for a leadership position out at the refinery that they worked at. This is how all other races of people do it, especially white people, in parentheses. When one of them is in lead, they choose their own race of people if another job comes up that needs a leader. Whether you like it or not, the skilled trades field is very racist, misogynistic, and homophobic, just like the trucking industry, unfortunately. None of the men in my family would help me get into the skilled trades. I believe it was because they were embarrassed of me. Well, I know that was the reason because years later my dad would admit if he had got me a job in his field of work, he was afraid someone would have dropped the crane on me. I knew I had been blocked from getting a job, unlike all my other cousins and brothers, which was so unfair. I even walked down to the skilled trades office and filled out an application twice. At this time, I was really desperate. I tried to get in touch with some man by the last name of Raglan who was related to my brother Mike, so it's not like I did not try. This is why this book is important to me because I finally get to tell my side. Yeah, so if anyone in my family ever wondered why I could not get it together, it was because I didn't have the same opportunity that you did. The family was too embarrassed of me. This is all fine. Hey, I get it. But then to try and make me feel like dirt or make it seem like I'm just lazy to the family because I asked you for a few bucks when you know I'm homeless, there's no real jobs in Toledo. In parentheses, this was before Amazon and Uber slash Lyft all came about, is really a bit much. In fact, it's flat out evil, but that is okay. One day the table will turn. Karma is a bitch. I always knew one day the tables would turn and I will act like I don't even know these people. This is speaking in regards to my dad and a lot of my family who are just evil, shady ass, phony church people. I had another family member who did offer to get me into Chrysler or General Motors, but I had to pay her out of my check that I would get. In my head, I was like, bitch, I'm not no illegal alien. Fuck out of here. I might look Mexican, but I'm kind of not. I'm native. Yeah, man, this auntie is older and very much into church, but she keeps up a lot of drama in the church. Go figure. This aunt is on Grandma Savage side of the family. The shade is, I have one of the strongest work ethics in the family. It really sucked because I would hear cousin after cousin getting hired, making money, but I was homeless and struggling. I really feel like my dad was happy to see me this way because of the anger slash grudge he had against my mom and me for always defending my mom. It's like he could control me by making me jump through hoops or I had to put up with his emotional abuse if I needed money. I've always had to get my own jobs. Nobody ever handed me any opportunities. It was very messed up because I have a cousin that is a drunk, but this boy has been rehired at least 10 different times. The whole family knows this and talks about how many chances he has had at jobs but messes them all up because of his drinking. The only one out of my brothers that actually stuck with the job is my brother Dante, who, like I said, is doing great. Earlier, I was saying how white people always choose their own when a new job has come up. As a child, I used to hear stories, in parentheses, from my dad about how Bill or Jeff picked his son or nephew that he knew was not prepared to lead a job when Bill or Jeff knew that Taekwon was more qualified. The son or nephew would mess up the job and embarrass Bill or Jeff. Well, in my dad's case, he was not like that. He is the type that will have you thinking, is my own family hating on me? So I won't get this opportunity? It's because he never wanted any of his sons to surpass him. Today, as I am typing this, all I can really think is it must be pretty sad to feel like you have to compete with your own kids instead of uplifting them. DJ, play You Haven't Seen the Last of Me by Cher. This is why he would say, I'm in better shape than all my kids, which is a lie. But I'm telling you, he never wanted his own sons to rise above what he did. It's too late because we all have surpassed him in our own ways. I don't know if my dad hated us, but I know he definitely did not like Dewan and I. He held a grudge against us because our mom divorced him twice. But even before that, he was still very mean. His whole vibe was just a negative hater. He would come home and I would hear them honky crackers at work did this or that. But being an adult today, I see what he means about working with some white folk. Just nosy, shaking my head.